The United Nations Security Council is set to meet today to discuss the 50 hostages still being held in Gaza. This comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is close to unveiling an updated plan for Gaza. On Monday, Netanyahu said he will convene his security cabinet to instruct the IDF on how to achieve the goals of defeating the enemy, securing the release of the remaining hostages, and ensuring that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. Israeli media reporting that Netanyahu will order the total occupation of the entire Gaza Strip. Now, pressure is mounting in Israel for more to be done to get all of the hostages released. That pressure increased after Hamas released disturbing video showing two captive, emaciated Israeli hostages.
This government is against the Israeli interest of freeing the hostages, finishing the war, and starting the recovery process, which is so badly needed.
On Monday, the Canadian Armed Forces flew over Gaza, dropping thousands of kilograms of life-saving supplies to the enclave. This was the first time Canadian aircraft was used to deliver aid directly to Gaza. Gaza's health ministry says 5 more people died from starvation on Monday. Thomas Warrick joins me now, Senior Fellow with the Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative, Atlantic Council. Good morning. Thank you for being with us. So, your thoughts on Netanyahu pursuing an expanded military campaign in Gaza, basically ignoring the advice of just about everyone else. Your thoughts?
Well, good morning. I can confidently predict this is not going to go the way anybody thinks it does. We can already look forward to understand that the logic of what Netanyahu and his cabinet are supposed to decide today is going to be to put the Israeli military in parts of Gaza where they have not been. This is going to put them in contact with more Hamas fighters, which is their military objective, but it's also going to put them in contact with a lot more civilians. The other thing is that as the IDF has repeatedly warned the cabinet, if Israel occupies all of Gaza, then it becomes legally responsible under international law for feeding everyone. And one of the problems with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation idea that started up in May was that even at the time, it was known to be only a small fraction of the amount of aid that was needed. The head of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation recently told a group of us when he was here in Washington they need 3 to 4 times the amount of money they're getting from Israel, the United States, and other countries, either routed through them or through some other body like the United Nations. And so right now, the top issue here in Washington is how to address the starvation problem. Thoughts of exactly what they want to do for the long term are going to have to be put aside until they can figure out how to get more humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza.
Well, and as we mentioned in the lead up, Canada participating in those airdrops, but it seems like that is just really quite literally a drop in the bucket given the need, and there are much more efficient ways, trucks, of getting food to people. So where does that go?
Yes. Well, and the problem there has been the security and bureaucratic obstacles that Israel has put in place, ostensibly to make sure that the humanitarian aid doesn't include military aid hidden inside it, or to make sure that it goes to the people it's intended to. But we just saw recent statistics from the United Nations that upwards of 90% of the humanitarian aid that goes in by truck is taken almost immediately by desperately hungry people or by organized armed mobs, some of whom are Hamas, and who seize the aid before it gets to the intended distribution sites. So this shows the level of desperation in this situation. And I think that's going to take precedence in many ways over the military objectives. Israel's not ready for this. They don't have the budget ready for this. They are not interested in being a long-term occupier. And they're certainly going to face military challenges in trying to rescue the hostages. So this looks to be a very tough period ahead unless Hamas takes the offer of the international mediators for one of the ceasefire proposals that mediators have tried over many months to get Hamas to agree to.
A tough period, yet we're staring down nearly 2 years of this conflict. Where does this leave President Trump and Steve Witkoff's goals, his Middle East envoy, to try to achieve a ceasefire or some peace?
Well, there is one way out, and it's the proposal of the United Arab Emirates from July a year ago of setting up international governance for Gaza that would get Hamas out of power, oversee its disarmament. There was a recent call in which Canada joined in Arab states, European states, and many allies of the United States to call for Hamas to be disarmed and to surrender its weapons to the Palestinian Authority. And then with international governance, there would be no need for an IDF occupation, but you would have to bring in troops. And you tell me whether Canada is ready to contribute troops to a peacekeeping mission in Gaza. But that's the only way we're going to get out of the desperate situation that we find ourselves in Gaza and the region.
Thomas S. Warrick is a senior fellow, Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative with the Atlantic Council. Really glad that you could join us with your perspective today.